Welcome to the From the Back Tees podcast. I'm not Jerry Lou, but currently he's out of commission. I've got Nolan Smith with me as always. I'm Zach Pencer, and we've got our best friend from Denmark over here, Sebastian Cappelen. How's it going?
How are you guys? I'm good.
Not too bad. First podcast, first video podcast. Unfortunately, Jerry can't make it. Like we said before the show, if he didn't have the coronavirus, he might have it now.
Yeah,
Sure.
Jerry's rushed himself off to the hospital, and that's all we know. He just shot us a
Yeah.
text saying, "Hey guys, I've fallen ill and I'm going to the hospital. Good luck."
So what have you been up
Hopefully it
to
comes
outside
out
of
on
golf?
top. Well, trying to stay busy. You guys might have noticed I decided
Oh, yeah.
I was going to get better at baking.
Yes, let's get right into it, man. How's that
It's
sourdough coming?
it's going well. Baking's always been one of those topics for me that I feel like I should be decent at, but I'm terrible at.
Is that like
Because I love,
is your mom very good at baking or something, or?
yeah, I mean, she was always good growing up, baking different things, cakes and stuff. And I love cooking, and I feel like I'm decent in the kitchen when it comes to cooking food, but it's like I hit a wall when I start baking. I can follow a recipe and then look at the product at the end and I'm like, what went wrong? Because this doesn't look right, or this doesn't taste right. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna try this and see if I can't do it right. And yeah, I mean, the sourdough is coming on well. It still needs a couple more days to really be ready, I think, or according to the recipe. But I made just like a quicker bread the other day that turned out really well, and it tasted great.
Is that
So
a rye bread?
yes, Danish rye. Yeah, it's way different from when you think of a rye bread here in the U.S. Like it's doesn't have, like, I feel like rye bread over here is a normal bread, but then it has fennel seeds in it. Is that right? Something
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
Yeah, it doesn't taste anything like that, and it doesn't have any fennel in it. So
So how long does
quite different.
sourdough bread take to make? It seems like it's been like weeks.
Yeah, I know this one says it needed to sit on the counter for 10 days. Basically, it says you want it to go as bad as it can.
Nice.
You want it to turn really bad and smell really bad. That's the whole
Really
point, I think.
cultivate.
Exactly. But then now when you have it started, you can keep it going. It just, you take a little bit out and then you just refresh it with a little fresh water and flour, and you can, I mean, I've heard people having them going for years. So just keep them in the fridge and take a little bit every time they make a new fresh bread. So,
For years? Are you kidding me?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have a friend back in Denmark. He told me the other day his dough just turned 2.
Oh my gosh.
You might have a new profession at hand. Besides baking, have you been up to anything else? Keeping
Wait,
the
your
golf
friend
team up?
has bred with a deeper relationship than any of Zach's girlfriends.
Yeah.
I like that
Not
comparison.
wrong.
I'm
Not
sorry,
wrong.
Zach.
No, it's okay. I'll take it. What can you do? You
No,
win
I'm just
some, you lose some,
apologizing
right?
for cutting you off.
Yeah. Oh, well, you win some, you lose some again. Besides baking, keeping the golf game sharp, or moved on to other brighter pastures?
No, I've been out there a couple times. We're fortunate enough that they're keeping the place open for us. But I'm probably out there. I mean, I've been out there probably 3 or 4 times the last week, just doing short game stuff. It's really hard to put in full days when you don't really have a timeline to work towards. So for me, it's just trying to keep things at a steady level and not just try to not lose the feel, really.
I've been
Yeah.
hearing
Have
that
you been?
from I've been hearing that from a lot of athletes. It is pretty. I mean, I didn't realize that, but that all of you are saying the same thing, is that it's really hard to like try to, I don't know, stay at that top level of peak in shapeness and keep your game crisp when you have no idea when game time, when the lights are going to flash back on. Which
Yeah,
I was
for
like,
sure.
why don't you want to like work really hard, like almost like it's an off season? But I guess it's totally different when you separate it like that. So
Yeah, I just think what always goes away for me is always the touch and on the greens and around the greens and inside 120 yards. So those are the things that I just try to keep working on, or at least keep some feel going, because it never really takes that long to get back into the long game to get somewhere where it's decent. But usually when I come off of an off season or a bigger, longer break, it's always in the short game or something like that where you feel like you're missing the extra shots or you're giving away the shots that you normally don't.
Yeah. Have you been playing with Jared at all? We know he's out there with you.
Yeah, no, I've seen him a couple of times. He actually is funny. The week of the Players, I pulled into the golf course down the street, the Plantation Club, because I have a friend down there that let me come out there to practice. And Jared is just sitting in his car in the parking lot when I came down there. I rolled down the window. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, I have a friend down here. He let me come out." I'm like, "Oh, I have a friend here too that let me come out." So, no, I've seen him around there. He obviously had a good start, and he's allowed back there with everyone else in the back area now. So.
Yeah, so but before we get to any more serious golf talk, we have something that we have to bring up for you. You might not be happy to hear it or for the world to hear about it, but Jared told us a little story about you deciding to break some windows out at your local course. Care to elaborate? Apparently you hit one into a tent.
Oh, yeah, he was there.
Yeah, so you weren't going to say anything unless you realized he was there.
Truth shall come to the light.
That was pretty funny. I think it was probably, was it last? It might have been last year. No, 2 years ago before the Players. It was like maybe 4 weeks before the Players, and I was just on the back range there on the kind of the right side, and to the left of 9 green, they built some hospitality tents over there, and I was just hitting 9-irons out towards the range, and I just absolutely hustled one. I was working on something or whatever, and I just absolutely hustled one. And I never really thought that it was just perfectly facing a big glass door, the double doors on this hospitality tent. And it was bullseye right in the middle of that glass.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible.
And I called the club up there and said, "Listen, this is what happened." And they were like, "Yeah, you'll be all right. Someone will see it and someone will fix it."
Nice.
So then it was never spoken of again.
The perks of being a tour player, right?
Did you do one of
I
those?
guess.
You do one of those ones where you look down at the club and you're like, "Man, what's wrong with this club?"
Yeah, I was like, "Did I grip that wrong? Did I just flip it upside down or something?" No, that was I don't know. I was working on something. I was just not really worried about where the ball was going, but I didn't think it was going to go like that.
Luckily for you, though, that's the only good scoop we got. No one wanted to dish out any trash.
Really?
We asked
Yeah,
Taylor. He refused.
I don't know if I can probably come up with some trash.
You think
exactly.
about.
That's what we told Taylor. I said, "Well, if
Yeah.
you're not going to give us anything about him, we're going to get a lot about you." The other.
I don't know what trash I have. I'm not afraid to come out with some trash that I have. So
That's
when
what
I
we
think
all
about it,
do.
I'll let you guys know.
I'm starting to think there's an unwritten rule. No,
Not an unwritten rule, apparently.
You're right. So, we haven't had you on in a while. What kind of were your thoughts, or what was your reaction when you first heard about players stopping? Or at first, right, it was going to fans being not allowed on the Friday through Sunday. Zach was actually down there.
Yeah, I was there Thursday following Hubs. I think it's the last live sporting event for fans now that I was at. Humble brag.
Yeah, he stayed with me that week.
That week? Oh, see, I don't know why he's like, "Oh yeah, we're staying with a friend." I'm like, well, you could have said who it was now.
Yeah.
He's keeping your name secret, I guess.
They were staying with us. But no, it was pretty surreal. It started the week before. probably the Thursday before the players, my dad calls me from Denmark, and that's when like I think Italy was starting to get bad. My dad calls me. He goes,
Yeah.
"I think they're going to cancel the players next week." And I said, "It's 3 days out from being Monday of the players. There's no way. No one is even considering this in the U.S. I mean, it's talked about, but no one is taking any precautions for doing anything." So I told my dad, "There's no way." And then, I mean, come Monday, it kind of, yeah, I mean, it was in the media a lot, and then, as we all know, it just escalated Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I mean, we were basically just pawns in a big play here, and we were just, yeah, okay, now we're not doing this, now we're doing that. We had no control. It was very surreal.
Yeah, and then were you
Was
expecting
it?
all the events afterwards to be canceled?
I kind of had a feeling when I saw some of the major sports leagues suspend their seasons. I had a feeling that the PGA Tour somehow was going to follow in that footstep. But you just, in the moment, you just never know. I know golf is different. It really isn't. I mean, it's not a contact sport. It's out in the open. I know it requires a lot of people to run events, but it's not like where we necessarily have to have a big crowd in one place, or we're running up and down each other, or whatever it is. So it is a sport that can be spread out, and people doesn't necessarily have to be in contact with each other.
Yeah, one thing I've been saying for a while, I don't understand why they don't keep holding the events. Like, you might, if you want, split it up into groups of 2 or even groups of 1. Like, you could do it. It might take longer to hold the tournament, but it's better than nothing. I'm sure all the players would be happy to play, find a way to get it done.
I'm curious what the PGA Tour is thinking right now. I mean, if it was me, I would be everything's on the table.
Yeah.
We got to figure something out.
Have you guys been in contact with them or at all, or do they talk to the players?
Few updates. Obviously, there's some updates around the whole thing about the Olympics getting postponed. But we've heard few things about the possibility of the PGA Championship going somewhere like the week or a couple of weeks right around before the FedEx playoffs. I don't know, possibility of expanding fields of tougher events over the summer, because there really aren't going to be many events left by the time we get back. So I'm still interested to see how they're going to play it out with getting Korn Ferry Tour graduates in that category, giving them their fair share of events. It just seems every option seems like someone's toes is gonna get stepped on. And
yeah,
I mean, yeah, who knows who that's going to be. I have a feeling that the guys that make money for the tour, which is the top 10 guys, are not going to lose anything. But that's just my opinion. That's nothing against anyone. It's just how business works, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your standings like for the Olympics?
I needed a few good events coming up. I don't know. I think there's probably five guys that are in somewhat contention of getting the Olympic spots. The fact that Torbjorn Olsen was suspended and stuff takes one spot out of there, because it looked like for a while that it was going to be Lucas and Torbjorn.
Yeah.
But it's pretty open. Who knows? I haven't even heard now. Now the other question is, do they extend the deadline for when you qualify, or do you say, is it still this year? Or there's so many things up in the air that hasn't been decided yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of assuming they would sounds like they're canceling the Olympics and scheduling it for 2021. So yeah. I would think they'd have to almost extend the points accumulation period through halfway of next year or so.
I mean, I would agree for golf for sure, but it's interesting because a lot of other sports, like you have a lot of sports for the Olympics where people are already qualified.
True.
Right? Like what do you do as like a pole vaulter? Do you just say, okay, I'm going to sit on the couch for 7 months before I start training again?
We're going to have to research that, help out the pole vaulters.
Exactly. Jimmy Fallon had a funny line about it the other night on his show, so that's how I know about it. There are, I mean, if you really think about it, some of the sports at the Olympics, there are people that are already, that's the only thing they work for in 4 years.
Yeah. The Olympics is their echelon, their peak of the mountain, right? And
Exactly. And then now like, oh, let's sit down, let's take a step back for 7 months or another year until we can get to work again.
Yeah, that's brutal for
some of those people's like window of being super competitive is a lot smaller. It's not like golf where you can be like at your peak level of performance for like 5 years, sometimes 10 years. Like sometimes for them, it's like, I'm going to get one shot at being in the Olympics and that's it.
Like the 13-year-old Chinese gymnast.
I know from just like the Hubbards, Megan, I mean, she was a really good swimmer in school. And I don't know if it fell right. Like it really depends on when you finish like college versus when the Olympics fall, whether you think you can try to qualify or not in certain sports. I mean, I guess it's kind of unfair in that way because some people, it's just perfect. They come out of college and they're at their peak through college and then they go straight to qualifiers for the Olympics, where some people might have to wait like 2 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then most people in weird sports that can't really make a great living if you keep doing it, people have to quit because they would have to keep going for 2 years or something like that without anything.
How much weight do you put on representing your country at the Olympics? I guess maybe not in a bad way. Like me too, I'm Canadian. It would be much easier to represent than if you're American. You have to be top 5 in the world.
Yeah, it's tough to represent America for sure, but I mean, it would mean the world to me to be able to represent Denmark for sure. It would definitely be one of those bucket list, one in a lifetime experiences where I'm like, okay, I'm just here. I don't care how I play. I made it here, and I just want to show the flag and tell my kids that I did this. This is one of those things.
Yeah. Where would you rank
some of the
Olympic gold? Oh, okay, Nolan. Don't mind the lag.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sebastian, where would you rank winning an Olympic gold compared to, would it be up there with a major, or would it be PGA Tour?
I think it would be. I mean, golf is still young at the Olympics, so it's tough to say, but the Olympics is the Olympics. I mean, it's the Olympic rings on your medal. Everyone's going to know what that is, so it's for sure up there, I think. I mean, the Olympics is not about money. It's about prestige and honor. So, I mean, it's a little bit different than a major, but I still think it's up there in terms of prestige for sure.
What kind of sports does Denmark excel at? I'm wondering if you have the chance to be the actual flag bearer, man.
Summer Olympics, what are we good at? We've had, I mean, our under 21, the soccer team has been good.
Yeah.
A couple of times. Summer Olympics. Oh, we've been really good at the crew, at four-man crew rowing.
Yeah.
I think there's a big thing about it. They're called the Gold Four. They won, now I'm guessing, but like 3 or 4 Olympics in a row, the same crew. Which is pretty insane.
Yeah. That's like 16 years apart or 12.
Exactly. It's something crazy. So Summer Olympics, that's probably our most successful successful sport. It's the crew for sure.
Right on. So how are you coping now with, I got to ask you about The Bachelor being done. The Bachelor is over. I heard they are suspending the recording for The Bachelorette. So a lot of tears happening right now.
I didn't even know that.
What are you filling your time with? Yeah, well, now you do.
Yeah. I like I'm a big Jimmy Fallon fan, so I'm following along with his little home edition shows that he's doing with his family. But obviously those are small little shows every night. Yeah. But no, we recently started watching Outlander on Netflix, which multiple people have suggested, and we're really getting into it. kind of slow to begin. Like not much happens, but it's a show. It gave me kind of the same feeling as when you start watching Game of Thrones. You feel like the first 2 seasons, you're like, if you're not really getting into it, you're like, it's just like some made up show, science fiction. They live in their own world or whatever. But the show takes its time to really get into the characters, and you actually get to know the characters, and it eventually comes together and it makes sense.
Right on.
Have you guys seen Tiger King? It's much watched.
I was just about to say that too, because I've had like 10 people the last 2 days telling me to watch it.
Yeah, I've been seeing it flying across like all my social media. It's like, you gotta watch Tiger King. And I'm like, what is this? Zach, what is it about?
I've heard it's like super weird, but its story is crazy. That's all I know.
Must watch. So it's about this guy, Joe Exotic, and this other guy who has like private tigers and lions and gorillas.
So
and they're all lunatics. Joe Exotic is currently in jail facing like 20 years in prison for murder to hire to kill this Carol Baskin woman who wants him shut down. She's a lunatic who, like, I'm pretty sure killed her husband. That's like what the show gives off. It's like, this guy's like a super gay, like covered head to toe in tattoos, like obsessed with like guns and like shooting them into pools and threatening to kill people. Truly a fantastic show. You guys need to watch it.
It's actually like a season-long show. It's not just like a documentary or something.
It's 5 or 6 episodes of like an hour each.
Sounds like a good time filler there.
Sebastian, I can start live tweeting it. Followers. You start live tweeting that, followers through the roof.
Really? Okay. All right. Good to know. I will say, for people that haven't watched the Aaron Hernandez series, that's mind blowing too.
Yeah.
That's a wake up call for how society and how people work sometimes.
Yeah, this is like a weird time though. Everyone has so much spare time, and we're like promoted to just sit around and do nothing. So it's really starting to drive me crazy. And no sports. I'm going to get into esports at this point.
I was trying to read an article earlier today. I had a notification on ESPN and I couldn't pull it up. And it was something about there's a country that's still, their soccer league is still going on.
The Thailand high school boys soccer? That's crazy.
Something was still going on.
Isn't there betting odds on it, Zach? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, there's betting odds on Thailand's boys high school soccer. I don't know how it's illegal, but the Aussie rules football shut down. It's really a nightmare.
I mean, I enjoy they're replaying, or I like the fishing championships on ESPN now. They're great.
The fishing championships?
Yeah, that's fun.
Is fishing big in Denmark?
Yeah, it is actually. I mean, we're surrounded by water. We have a lot of industry in the ocean, so there's a lot of fish available.
It's true.
A lot of seafood.
I could see that for sure. I saw they're doing a ton of different simulations and whatnot of like actual, like I know the Portland Timbers, our MLS team over here, was like live streaming FIFA simulated games of the rest of their season. I think Madden has been doing a lot of games that they're like putting over-unders on or spreads on. It's entertaining, but not the same, man.
I watched the other day Formula One did a virtual race.
Yeah. Formula One or NASCAR? Or did they both?
They both did it. But the Formula One, Ian Poulter was in the race. It's great. If you go on their website, they have the whole coverage. You can just stream it. But it's pretty cool.
That's what you guys have to start doing. Honestly, you guys should organize like 5 or 6 of you guys, or 4, have a nice foursome of simulated golf and just stream it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be very doable. I mean, everyone has TrackMans now, so all you have to do is just put up a net or something, and you basically have a TrackMan or a simulator.
Plus, that would be like incredible entertainment for everyone just sitting at home.
Yeah.
Just go challenge like Hubs. He'll do it.
He's bored out of his mind too.
Everyone
They finished 9 Star Wars movies in like 4 days.
That's amazing.
Oh man, at least it wasn't like the extended cut edition of like Lord of the Rings or something.
Yeah, oof. Those are brutal. Like 4 hours and 15 minutes a movie.
Yeah. Oh.
So, I thought you had something, Nolan.
No, not much, man. I saw Sebastian, I hopped on your Instagram live the other day.
No,
What was that?
I needed to try something new. I was like, maybe I should try this. I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing, really.
Yeah, what was that for? I saw like the day before you were like, "Hey, I'm hopping on Instagram live at 10 or whatever." And I just so happened to see it when you came on. Was that just you?
Yeah, I mean,
yourself?
the PGA Tour Entertainment we have a couple of people in different parts of the PGA Tour that helps us promote stuff, and they also bring stuff to us, but they can reach out to us for stuff. And they just sent out an email, I think, to everyone just saying, these are all the things that we're going to start doing, and we would love for you guys, all the players, to, I don't know, you're free to do all these things, and we'll help you promote it through our platforms. So I think Friday or something like that, I was like, why don't I do like a Instagram live thing and just try to connect to some fans that maybe have questions, just to get some understanding, just get some two-way conversation going. So I was like, I told the guys at the PGA Tour, I said, why don't I do this on Monday, and you guys can just promote it through your platforms. And it wasn't until like Sunday they told me, hey, you should post something and then put that ask me a question box in the post so people can actually ask you questions.
Yeah.
So I had no idea that was, I mean, I've seen people do that before, but I had no idea how to do that. So I learned how to do that, and then I've got a bunch of questions, and I took some questions live on the live show, and some of the questions people had sent in. I mean, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, good way to interact with the fans. I feel like people love it, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looked like you had a lot of following from back home. I saw a lot of words that I wasn't understanding.
Yeah. I tried to. There's a couple times where I wanted to switch into Danish because the question was in Danish, but I tried to keep it on an even keel in English the whole way.
That might have to be the next podcast. If we have no more golf still, we'll have to learn Danish, you know.
Learning Danish with Seabass.
We could do a Danish lesson. People can sign up, and here we go. We can start learning Danish.
Are Danishes from Denmark?
Yeah, but the problem is, here in the U.S., we just decided to say, oh, there's so many different ones. Let's just all call it the same.
Of Danishes?
Yeah, like Danish is the pastries, like the breakfast pastries in the morning. There's so many different kinds.
Oh, so they're not all real Danishes.
I guess they are, but it's like saying I'm having a beer and then that's it. You can't say if you're having an IPA or if you're having a wit
So you have different terms for different types of Danishes?
Oh yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
What other types of Danishes are there? This is like life-changing.
Groundbreaking.
Well, the common one is the one with the jelly in the middle, right? Kind of like a dough, and then there's a splat of jelly in the middle.
Do they all have like Danish names?
Well, it just depends on how it is, really. Whether it's covered and it's just in the middle, or what type of jelly it is. Whether it's a single piece or like a bigger piece that you cut out at home. There's so many variations.
So are we going to get the name for what that one is?
I don't even remember. I mean,
Yeah.
I just know there's like what's some good ones. One is called Frischnabe.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a frog something. The word's a frog, but it's a type of Danish.
Got frog legs in it.
We don't understand you people. You guys are all very polite. We know that.
Yeah, I bet you guys have a lot of different, like small. How big of the town was it that you were growing up in? I feel like that culture would have like a bunch of little small pastry shops on the corner streets and stuff like that. Or am I totally not picturing that
I
right?
feel like we have the worst.
No,
Denmark.
it's definitely more like that. Like, there's probably 200,000 people in the city I grew up in, but like the downtown feel was still like a downtown feel, with a street with shops, and you couldn't take your car into like the downtown. But we had in the whole like the county, we had like one or two like big grocery stores, but mostly people would go to like smaller grocery stores, kind of like if you go to a grocery store in New York or something like that.
Yeah.
And you would go to the bakery. Like, you would go to different places.
Yeah.
You would go to the grocery store, then you go to the bakery, then when you go to
Go
the
somewhere
butcher.
for meat. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have it wasn't as much of a one-stop shop as it is over here.
Interesting.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I visited Paris and Bruges, and kind of had that same experience where it was like you know, there's all these smaller shops where they're specialized in whatnot, and everything was awesome. So
Yeah. One thing I gotta ask you, because I hung out with the guy back at the Honda Classic. Your caddy Ed. How did you guys meet up, and how the hell did that pair happen? Because that guy is quite the guy, quite the character.
Oh yeah, he's great. He freaking sold meat for 25 years. Who sells meat for 25 years? No, we got one of the I think actually it was Taylor's caddy at the moment on the web back then. We were playing some practice rounds together early in one year, and he like told me he had this guy that started the caddy on the web and was looking for a player. I think he'd been caddying for Scott Langley at the beginning of the year. I was like, sure. I hadn't had any luck with any full-time caddies at that point. So I said, sure, I'll try him out at some point. And I think it ended up being maybe Chicago was our first event, something like that, or maybe the week after. And then it was very easy, and it kept being easy. So we just kept going, and we're still going.
He does seem like the easiest guy to have on the bag. I feel like he's just like happy-go-lucky.
He is. It's great. I mean, we work really well together, I think, because I'm very analytical, and he is analytical too. But he realizes when I get into like a deeper level of of analyzing a shot or coming up with a way to make it the right decision, and he goes like, "Okay, yeah, I agree." He knows when he's to say, "Yeah, I agree."
Yeah, just to give up.
Yeah, no, just to make me. A lot of times it's just when, like, for him, he can sense when I know what I'm wanting to do, and I'm speaking out loud, telling him, and he knows he just needs to make me feel confident in that decision rather than challenge me. And I think it's hard to teach that relationship. It's just kind of, you have it or you don't. And that's why some guys jump around different caddies, and other guys are able to stay with a guy because they have a guy that it works with.
Yeah. Are you one of the more analytical guys? Because I'm huge into the numbers. I feel like that's a big advantage in the game for those
you got a little Bryson DeChambeau in you?
Not to that level. I mean, I do like to look at things in an analytical way, but I don't look at. I don't remember the last time I looked at all my stats, but I'm sure I could get way more into it if I wanted to.
You're not looking at air density?
Is that
I'm not.
Is that played up at all? Do you know? Is Bryson really like squirt bottling his clubs before, like, on the practice range to see how the water affects the like spin rate or something?
I have not seen that, but I'm sure that to some extent that is talked up a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds a little ridiculous, but I mean, he's still going with the whole like one club length. Like,
I think so. He's
steady.
Right? He's going with it.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I'll give him that.
I mean, it did bring him to where he is now, so I feel like it's working pretty well.
Yeah.
Works for him, at least. All right, well, if we don't got anything else, we have one more thing to tend to. Sebastian, I know you're sitting pretty at 1-0 in Canadian trivia. One of the rare guests to be sitting at 1-0, as a matter of fact. Your friends Taylor and Jared both failed miserably.
Ugh.
Yeah, but we got back on board. We got a question for you today, multiple choice, as you know. So I'm going to give it to you guys now. The question is, which of these game show hosts is Canadian? Is it Bob Barker from The Price is Right, Drew Carey of The Price is Right, Alex Trebek from Jeopardy, or Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune? Sebastian, you're first.
Before you even said any options, I was going to say Alex Trebek.
Okay. Bold choice.
Okay.
Nolan?
I'm going with Drew Carey.
Drew Carey.
Yeah.
Well, one of you guys got it right, so that's the good thing. The bad thing is, it's not you, Nolan.
No.
Congratulations, Sebastian. 2-0. Really a remarkable
Yes.
performance.
Wow, Alex Trebek is Canadian?
Yeah.
Did you not know that?
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Oh, you knew it too. Did you really
I
know
didn't.
it, or you're guessing?
No, I had no idea.
He's
Good
BSing.
questions that you guys don't know. I'm running out of questions.
Dude, Alex Trebek, he is a super. I mean, people love him, and
Yeah.
he's
Legend of the game.
worldwide, man.
Yeah. Worldwide. Well, Nolan, you moved to 7-7. You're all tied up with Jerry now.
Oh, we're tied.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was ahead of him.
Yeah, you were ahead of him.
Oh yeah,
Now
you're right.
Should have taken more time, maybe. Sebastian with the real impressive performance of 2-0. I could tell you one thing: I would not go 2-0 in Danish trivia, but it is what it is. Well,
Maybe we can incorporate that tradition every time I'm on. I'll bring a Danish trivia question for you guys.
that's what we'll have to do.
That's
We'll be
beautiful.
holding you to that.
You're now miles ahead of Taylor now. So
Yeah.
All right, I'll relax now.
We'll be getting some good scoop from you on them, especially Jared, because he's really the one who threw you under the bus. Taylor was very nice.
I'm gonna pay attention to Jared. I'm gonna think about something about Jared.
Maybe you just need to set him up for failure.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm gonna think about something.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, Sebastian, for coming on, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll speak again soon. Hopefully, we get the
For sure.
season back on the road because we need content.
We're all going crazy, I think.
well,
Yeah,
but yeah,
exactly.
appreciate it, Sebastian.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys.